you cannot hope to change the narcissist.
Yeah.
Even a narcissist who on the rare occasion recognizes that they see themselves in these red flags and seeks therapy can change behaviorally to manage their relationships. But if you're the person that's on the other side of the relationship, you can't think that they're going to change or get better.
Oh, the red flags are,
yeah.
So, there's a lot of those.
Well,
should we go through them?
You want to do the red flags? I was going to say that I think we should. I think our viewers might want to know the red.
These are really more, it's conceptual. Just trying to kind of paint a picture of, because, you've got, chameleonic is a good word. Narcissists are very good at contorting to certain situations because they're predatory.
Yeah.
And so they're going to be predatory by nature. So they're going to contort to these things. But there are some eminently predictable traits.
Okay.
That.
So we've done some lists today, and this one's gone on a little long. We might even chop this into 2 episodes for you guys because it's so good and there's so much content. It's really good content. I don't want to lose it. So, I think that would be a huge benefit for us to kind of run through the red flags and just, as you're listening, kind of listen along, see if there are any that, hit home with you. And then at the end, we're going to talk about what to do if you recognized yourself in this scenario with all these red flags. We're going to give you a little bit of actionable items at the end. So let's see what you got. What you got, Jim?
So overly charming. You have a soulmate feeling about them. So they're very good at, listening to cues, catching things, trying to, again, it's predatory behavior. Love bombing. Do they seem to have everything you ever wanted? Are they too good to be true? Are you hearing, you're the one I've looked for my entire life? They're just basically, very much just throwing all of this in as much as they can and trying to get as much emotional energy. It's really, if I can, if a narcissist, I won't say me, if a narcissist can, keeping you off your intellectual center. That is the entirety of the trick, positive or negative. Insults or compliments, whatever it is, keeping you off of that emotional center. That's why friends are so important. Let somebody meet your friends before things travel too far because they will get the vibe. They're not emotionally involved in the situation.
So they can see. And they also may not be as emotionally dysregulated as you.
Yes. I mean, it's,
truthfully.
Yeah, no.
Maybe some of your friends have a normal sympathetic autonomic nervous system.
I'm not going to throw my friends under the bus, but it's a pretty big bus. Blaming others. This is, again, the narcissist cannot even fathom the idea that they are wrong. And so if there is something wrong in the world, something happens, it says, for everything in their life circumstance, why they're late for a date, does not accept responsibility for anything, calls every ex is crazy.
That's a big red flag.
Yeah.
Yeah. I even knew that one. I use that one in the office.
Yeah. Jealousy. Jealousy is a big one because you are becoming property. I like the phrase human resource. A narcissist will see everybody as a human resource, literally. Yeah, you are a resource and whatever the thing happens to be. And so whenever I hear, if I'm doing couples counseling and one or the other one, say, well, if there's infidelity or, she stole my husband. Right. It's like, it's not tried and true. It's not 100, but it's one of those things that kind of perks my ears up. Yeah. It's like stole. That's an interesting choice of words. Yeah. But it also implies this other woman stole my husband. Have responsibility. Well, and the husband didn't choose to leave the wife. Yeah. Because that would imply that the wife
had a defect and was, oh, wow.
Yeah. And
wow. That was a great little.
Yeah. So it all folds together. They admit on spying on their ex on social media or worse. This is a sign. I mean, anything that smells like stalking.
Big red flag.
Just gonna. That one's pretty low hanging fruit. Disrespect of normal boundaries, coming over without notice, reading private mail, going through your phone, taking things from your house, getting into your purse or wallet, using your computer or phone without first getting permission, not taking no for an answer, and it's a very big one. Moving the relationship forward fast, pushing early sex, promising or professing I love you within the first couple of months, proposing marriage right away, etc. There's one on here that I didn't list that is huge, and it's really for the young ladies. I see it over and over and over again. they want to impregnate women as quickly as possible.
Wow.
Over and over. I see the pattern. It's as soon as, I mean,
that's interesting because from my point of view, from the GYN point of view, we're always, and from the mother of boys point of view, I'm always telling my boys, don't, watch out. They're going to trap you. They're going to get pregnant, so that they can trap you because you're a good, I never thought of it from the other direction.
I don't know how many times I've heard women, in their 30s or 40s, when they finally realized I was baby trapped.
Oh my gosh.
Because everybody looks at it from that perspective.
Yeah.
They look at it from the perspective the woman's trying to
baby trap the man. That's a great phrase, by the way. I've never used that before.
Yeah,
baby trap.
But it is, if there is one pattern I see over and over and over again, it is the guy finds a girl that is probably just a touch out of his league and she doesn't know it yet. So he has got to get some kind of anchor in there as quickly as possible. And that's the best one.
Wow. You're blowing my mind.
So, yeah, that is a very, very big one. And that's really just girls in your teens and 20s. Just be careful.
Come to my office and get birth control.
Yes, do that.
Virtuosa GYN San Antonio, drcrockett.com. We can take care of you.
Demonstrating a sense of ownership over another, over you. So if they demonstrate a sense of ownership, it's like, just if you get that's the trust your intuition. If she's like, that was a weird thing to, don't ignore it. Run it by your friends. Run it by somebody who's not in the mix of it. During one of my trainings, I heard they talked about the distortion field, like in a Star Trek or Star Wars episode. You have these distortion fields in space.
Yeah.
And the narcissist has a distortion field around them.
Ooh.
And the closer you are to them, the more reality gets distorted.
Ooh, I've never heard that before.
I know. I was like, I can relate to that. Yeah. I'm a geek. Rudeness to others and waitstaff. Like waitstaff is an example.
I always pay attention to that.
Yeah, that one's a big one. It was the kindness is, being, or integrity is being kind to somebody who can do nothing for you.
Yeah.
And it's just that, again, the narcissist is putting forth an act or a facade, but the person who's, the waitstaff or the valet or the whoever it is, they're not on stage for them.
They're not useful. They're not a narcissistic supply.
Right. So you've got nothing to offer me. I don't have to be nice to you.
Yeah.
So that's a huge one. Low self-esteem, especially with evidence that they put others down to make themselves feel adequate. It was self-contained. But yeah, it's like, if everybody's stupid, everybody's an idiot, everybody's like, and not taking blame for anything.
Mm-hmm.
Lack of empathy. And it says, this can be faked, especially in the beginning, but please take note they don't have feelings about other people, animals being hurt, or if they seem disinterested, puzzled, irritated, or critical when you express they have hurt your feelings. I want to change this. Lack of empathy is not really, they don't understand the concept.
They don't know what it is.
It's completely foreign.
So they can fake compassion if somebody's watching them and they want to look good.
Right.
But they don't really understand empathy and looking at another human being and being able to understand what they're feeling or thinking at the moment.
No.
Because that would require the other person to be separate from themselves.
Yeah. And I don't like the phrase lack of empathy because it implies at some point they can acquire it. And they can't. There's, and there's different articles on different parts of the brain that have just a blindness to it. And the real irony is, it's like if I am, if I'm the narcissistic person and I do something negative to another person, I don't feel the empathy. But if you do it to me, and it really is a blindness. And the interesting, do I have time to tell the story of Narcissus?
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So the story of Narcissus was the most beautiful human being ever. Mm-hmm. Like he was just, if you looked upon this man, you fell in love with him immediately. And so he had, and everybody would come around his house trying to, gaze at Narcissus and, Narcissus is like, well, I am more beautiful than anybody in the world. So I have no partner. I have no equal. Well, his best friend Amaneus, he and his friend Amaneus went hunting and they came back and Amaneus fell under the spell.
Oh.
And tells Narcissus, if I can't have you, I have to die. Oh. And so Narcissus is like, okay, here's my sword. Go on my porch. Don't make a mess in my house. Oh. So Amaneus goes on the porch and...
I never heard this story before.
So Nemesis is the Greek god or goddess of karma.
Right.
And so Nemesis sees this and she's like, oh no, this ain't happening. So she goes to Narcissus and removes his ability to recognize himself in the mirror.
Oh, that's what it is.
So he goes to a pool, looks down, sees himself, falls in love, can't drag himself away from his own reflection and dies of starvation right there. But the blindness is really what they are blind to their own reflection. They are blind to their own actions. They are blind. So there's no combination of words. There's no spreadsheets or videos. Like you can't show them a video of their own behavior and have them comprehend how it affects another person.
Yeah. So did we get through the list?
Oh, sorry. I got to guess a couple more.
That's okay. I don't want to rush you. We got time. But
Okay.
I do want to make sure that we don't forget to talk about like what our viewers should do if they find themselves in this type of relationship. So, let's hear the last couple.
Just a few signs that they think they are better than everybody else. People are morons. Most people are idiots, that kind of thing. Bored easily or impulsive. If they're not interested in it, then it's wrong.
Okay.
So, if I don't like bowling, well, then why do you like bowling? That makes no sense to me. It's just that, rather than, we're in a cooperative relationship or, I don't like bowling, but you like bowling, so we'll go bowl and have a good time. They can't do that.
Interesting.
So that broad spectrum inability to empathize. And then lack of close friendships. This is one, if you want a red flag,
the biggest one.
Bright orange. We'll just go.
Yeah, bright orange.
Because there's introverts out there.
Right.
But a very, very bright orange red flag is that one. Because they have no equals. And in order to have close friendships, you have to be vulnerable. Vulnerability breeds the possibility of rejection. They can't handle rejection, so they just wipe it out.
Wow.
So they don't have close interpersonal friendships. They don't have people. They don't have a crew.
Yeah.
And never have.
Yeah.
So that's
interesting.
One. Again, it's just, these are all little things, just kind of like, if it doesn't make sense, it doesn't make sense for a reason.
Yeah.
And they're great. They've had a lifetime of coming up with excuses and rationalizations.
Yeah.
And that's where people get stuck. Okay, that makes sense. Okay.
And then they stay in it.
And just.
So if, is that all of them?
No, one more. Just the withholding information about finances.
Oh, the money one.
Right. But
this one surprised me.
Yeah, but demonstrating strong curiosity about yours, shaming you when you're not ready to answer their questions about finances. You are a human resource. Finances are a resource.
Oh, my gosh.
You control them. So.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, they really view other people as human resources. You are a source of money or drugs or
sex or
whatever it happens to be.
Yeah.
You are a source of all of those things.
Okay, so if I'm in a relationship, if I'm one of my viewers and I find myself looking at like huge orange and red flags on here, I should probably go find a therapist to see if they can try to fix the narcissist, right?
No.
No, that's not the right
it's a complete
sentence. No, it's a complete sentence.
It really, and it's really probably the hardest part of my job is, wonderful people who come in and are immersed in this for 10, 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
And they are so emotionally enslaved and they have no sense of self, no sense of identity, no self-confidence. Their entire identity is structured in, if I have heard the phrase, why am I not enough? Why am I not enough? Why am I not enough? So many times. And it's defined by the person who has a very vested interest in keeping them and not being enough. So
this is interesting. So the point I wanted to make is that you cannot hope to change the narcissist. No. Even a narcissist who on the rare occasion recognizes that they see themselves in these red flags and seeks therapy can change behaviorally to manage their relationships. But if you're the person that's on the other side of the relationship, you can't think that they're going to change or get better. So your choices are to either figure out how to start becoming healthy yourself within the relationship, find good counseling like the Denning Center in San Antonio or your counselor that's near you to start working on these, or listen to the Dr. Crockett show. We're going to be going through these seeds. But the development of your self-autonomy and understanding yourself as a whole human being is the first step.
It is. And the real problem is if they... It's funny when a couple comes to me and it's one of the couple is a narcissist, I never see them again because I'll point out these things and I become a threat to
the narcissist.
That constructed reality.
Yeah.
So the narcissist is very committed to keeping that, so there's something called an extinction burst. An extinction burst is when somebody starts losing control. When a narcissist starts losing control of the partner, they escalate everything.
Yeah.
When all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail.
Yeah.
And so you want a therapist who understands that this is not something that can be, there's no combination of words you can tell the narcissist where the narcissist is like, oh,
I get it.
I didn't realize I was doing that.
I am that. Yeah. Well, and we also want our listeners to be safe if they're starting to realize this is what's going on, because like we talked about before, abuse and the narcissism overlap each other very strongly. So you never want to just go confront them to their face. You want to make sure if you are in an abusive situation, we want to make sure that you have the availability to get to a hotline or a safe place. I don't want to go into a whole abuse discussion right now, but start taking care of yourself is what I'm encouraging you to.
Be very, very careful. They can be, there is no limit to what they can and will do during that extinction burst. It is, you think you know what the limits are, but so just be incredibly careful with all of it.
So it can be really hard for women. I am going to say this much about abuse. It can be really hard for them to get to a place where their controller is not controlling them. So I want the listeners to know that in most doctor's office, specifically most GYN offices, in the bathrooms on the back of the door, there are numbers listed for hotlines and help, because, I see it in my office. A partner will come in with the woman to control her and make sure she doesn't say something in the exam room, even with me. But the bathroom is the one place where they can get alone. And so we usually keep resources there for women's shelters and hotlines and figuring out how to be safe. So please be safe. For those of you that are dealing with this on starting to date and getting into that world, and you start recognizing these flags, run, just run. Don't try to fix it. Get better at recognizing these things faster. And that's the best advice I can give. Get used to seeing different kinds of personalities in people, and get to see what these are, and then start to identify the people that don't have these red flags and start leaning into those relationships.
Yeah. And one of the great things I think about the modern world, people are so much better at talking about their feelings and how they feel about things. And so those conversations aren't as weird as they used to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
But just really developing that sense of autonomy and understanding who you are and what you're willing to do, and knowing your worth.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for being here today. Thank you for being so worthy. This was an awesome discussion. It's great.
It's so many times when I'll tell somebody, it's like, all you're asking is what you're offering.
Right.
Because people... And I was like, oh, yeah.
I love that. All you're asking is what you're offering. And why wouldn't you expect to get reciprocity?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's a great way to end the show. Thank you so much. You want to tell the audience where they can find you?
TheDenningsCenter.com, or and then there's links to the book on Amazon.
Yep. So books on Amazon. We have links below in the notes. The book is called Make It to Midnight.
Yeah.
Jim, thank you so much. It's such a great conversation and very meaningful for our audience. And thanks for tuning in, and we will see you next time. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you next Tuesday. Have a great week.